going to taste today with you a little bit and publish our notes on the website. Patrick Javillier, 2006 Pernand Vergelesses. This is our first venture into a wine of the week, and we don't know if video will be part of that forever or not. We'll see how this goes. One of the things I have, as you might suspect, a pre-existing knowledge of this wine, and one of the things that you'd be prepared for discussing is the light color, which is more classically old style Burgundy than the darker, richer things you see these days. Patrick Javillier is basically a white wine producer, produces Marcel, but we've been bringing his reds for a few years. I've tasted Pernand Vergelesses from him several times at the property. This is the first one we've decided to bring in to sell, and it's really quite stunning, as we hope to share with you here. Right, let me show you where Pernand Vergelesses is, and this is a beautiful map that you want to grab the end of it.
Yeah, definitely.
That, and we're going to tilt it down with it so the glare isn't so bad. But also, we're going to take this now and really give you more of a perspective by turning it so that you can see where north and south is. So this is basically, let's see, tilt a little bit this way. There, true north. I think it's pointing at the North Star. So you see Dijon up here, and Beaune, and then so you have the Côte de Nuit and Côte de Beaune, and right here in this sort of little horseshoe, you see Savigny-les-Bains, and then Pernand Vergelesses. So you see the exposure is a little bit more to the, what is this, east, northeast than it is to southeast. And that is one of the reasons probably it's not, Grand Cru, Premier Cru area, but that's where we are. Los Cortons, Savigny-les-Bains, Pernand Vergelesses. Here's Pernand Vergelesses up here in this little kind of horseshoe thing, but the shoe is facing this way. The exposition southeast east, and rather than, you can see this one's these more prime properties are tilted more this way. This one is this way, and maybe one of the reasons it's not Premier Cru. But at any rate, there's the location. Will, why don't you come in and join us? I'll pour you a little bit. We have our friend Will joining us. He also is a fan of this wine, so we've sort of loaded the panel. I don't know, you may be the only one who hasn't tasted it yet, or have you?
I had the privilege once.
See,
but it's always...
This is not only that the color of this wine is Old Burgundy, I think the nose of this wine is Old Burgundy to me. More dried flowers, rose petally things than you're finding in most modern Burgundies, which are more fruit beer.
Especially for its youth. I mean, being only 3 years old and already showing this much character, I think that's special, considering it's from what some might think a lesser appellation because of its exposure.
Not only some, virtually everyone. I know, Will, you
people
have...
at this table.
Will has an opinion about Pernand Vergelesses.
Well, I was saying that I think Pernand Vergelesses is a real hit and miss sort of appellation, and I'm a giant Patrick Javillier fan, and we've tasted Pernand Vergelesses from him from other vintages that I wasn't particularly wild about. But I think, 06 is a soft vintage, and texturally I think a soft vintage, and for whatever reason, it's worked out. I think it worked out, really well for him in getting, a little, kind of smooth, sultry sort of, kind of body and program into this wine. I think dried flowers is dead on. I also get a a sort of a cinnamon clovey sort of spice, but not from. I mean, sometimes I think you get that from wood,
Mhm.
and it's not in the same way that you're getting dried flowers from fruit. Clearly, you're getting those spices from
Right, right.
from fruit in this wine.
Right. Yeah, and I think this is one of the points you want to make about that I would like to make about what we do. As both Will and I said, we've tasted many vintages of Pernand Vergelesses with Javillier, and I am also a fan of Mr. Javillier. And this is the only one we bought, and that's the point of getting your feet on the ground every year and tasting vintages, because this is actually a stunning wine, and as Will said, really quite an amazing value for Burgundy, which we would have, if we weren't there tasting every year, would have missed. And we would have missed it not just for us, but for you. And I would urge, we're talking about the color here and, at the beginning, and I would urge those of you who find interest to click over, and I will ask that, in fact, there's a link on this little bit, so you can click over and see Will and Patrick discussing the color of his red wines. It's really quite charming. What about the flavors here?
Well, it's nice because there are, when you talk about those sort of dried floral qualities, and those sort of spicy components, those are, I think, aromas, and then transfer into flavors that you think of as not not being real fresh, a little more mature. And I do think what I really like is you got that in the mouth,
Mm-hmm.
but you do have that kind of tart cherry, tart cranberry almost kind of quality,
Absolutely.
and really nice acidity. And I
Mhm.
think texturally, part of the deal is that the acidity in an appealing, balanced kind of way is really vibrant and gives life to that flavor.
I think that's really well expressed, and one of the reasons I picked this one to start with, just because I was so confident with it, is not simply because this is really good Burgundy, but it's uniquely old-fashioned and really charming for it, and not a kind of Burgundy you find every day, and yet so much appeal, as you say. It's got it exactly as you put it. It's got freshness that belies the initial flavors and the nose,
Yeah.
and that makes it lovely to drink.
You hear all these autumnal qualities that you associate with red Burgundy, but then with the acidity, it's balancing everything out and preventing it from being that kind of telltale forest floor, sort of dried duff, that kind of thing that sometimes loses an audience. I think with the aromatic qualities on the mouth like this, you're going to have many more converts. This could be a segue Burgundy. This could be.
Well, it could, because it's not, because certainly there are Burgundies that are, we think of Pinot Noir as as a mildly tannic, a softer wine, and there's a lot of Burgundy, a lot of Côte d'Huile Burgundy from north of here that has a lot more structure, than this wine does. And I think that, when you're kind of walking people into Burgundy, sometimes that can freak them out a little bit. They like Pinot Noir because they like Pinot Noir that's really soft, and certainly particularly young, Nuit Saint-Georges first and foremost, but some of those appellations, I mean, they make wines that are kind of chewy.
Yeah, indeed.
And this bridges that gap really nicely, I think.
Okay. Well, thanks for joining me, and thanks for joining us. I hope you order some of this wine and find it as delightful as we do. Thank you.